Salamander dude, SaiyanSalamander here, and welcome to my next Re-Finery theory crafting video. In this series I talk about characters who haven't had refines yet, and what I would personally give them as their refines. So far I've talked about some staff units that I want to see get preferred weapons and refines, as well as some Spring Festival banner units. So next up I'll be talking about the Bridal Blessings banner units, and coming up with preferred weapons and refines for all of them. Before I go into the first character, let me talk about the weapons effect for the majority of the characters. Originally it boosted the unit and allies within 2 spaces defense and resistance by 2, but after the Re-Finery system came out, the stat increase was buffed from 2 to 5. It's basically like a nerfed light breath effect, so with a buff it's not actually a terrible weapon. But I've got something different planned for the units with this original weapon effects, so let's start things off with the first character on the list, Talius's bride, Sheeta from Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and Mystery of the Emblem. For this event, Bridal Sheeta is a blue mage infantry unit. Her attack and defense are pretty weak, and her HP and res are workable but pretty average. But her speed is really good for a Gen 1 unit, sitting at 37 speed. In Fae, all her titles are to do with her homeland, Talus. Her OG appearance is called Talus's Heart, there's Talus's Bride for the Bridal ult, and Princess of Talus for her Anniversary ult. So I decided to name her new weapon Flor de Talus. To start with, I gave her +3 attack to try fix her poor attack stat, and also made her effective against armor and cavalry units in order to reference her wing spear and wing sword. I was originally going to give her attack speed oath, but after some recent refines, I figured I had to spice it up a bit more. Instead, as long as the unit is adjacent to Sheeta at the start of the turn, Sheeta grants +5 to all stats to herself and units adjacent to her. And her and her allies gain +10 HP at the start of the turn too. When I was going to upgrade what I originally gave her, I was thinking of giving her a support partner base skill, but I figured I'd just stick to the oath skill line and just buff up my original idea. As for the refine, I gave her a skill that also works when allies are adjacent to her too. I originally was going to give her guidance 3 to reference her usually being a Pegasus Knight, but then I realised how much better Grand Orders 3 as a skill is compared to it, so I figured I'd give her Grand Orders instead. Overall, Sheeta's a really good support unit, who can grant health, stats, and even teleportation to her allies, and even give those health and stat boosts to herself too, meaning that she can support her allies well, or even jump into the fray and battle her some units herself. Going from one blue unit to another, let's talk about the second blue infantry unit on this banner, the Money Maiden, Charlotte from Fire Emblem Fates. Instead of being a mage like Sheeta, Charlotte's actually a lance unit, and has a lot more stats because of this. She has really good HP and attack, average speed, and low defense and resistance. But with a super boon in defense, the stat is workable and can be pretty good with a little bit of investment. Now that I've gone over her stats, let's talk about a new weapon that I gave her, Bonus Bite. I based the name on her old weapon, First Bite, and changed the name for the preferred weapon and made it suit the effects I gave her. To start with, I originally was going to give her +5 HP, since it's the best stat she has, and she can run a lot of great skills like Sudden Panic and Infantry Pulse. But since she's a Gen 1 unit, I figured I'd give her B-Dual Infantry instead, so that her HP can increase, and she's also easier to use in Arena, since it'll be treated as if she has at least 170 BST when used in that game mode. As for the refine, like I just mentioned before, I'm continuing with the stat bonus theme with her weapon, and decided to give her bonus doubler for the refine effect. Ironically, she's a fantastic unit to run panic skills, yet with her weapon, she's actually really weak to enemy panic skills herself. However, with how high her HP stat is, she's not going to make it easy for anyone to panic her, making her a fantastic unit to run this kind of weapon. In fact, even without a boon, with max Dragon Flowers and merges, Charlotte can reach over 60 HP. So unless she's up against an armoured unit or some kind of stat inflated unit, Charlotte's free to run wild with those doubled stat bonuses. Her stats are fairly average and pretty workable, so with bonus doubler and the Blah Blade effect active, she can definitely take down any foe she meets. She can even run skills like Sudden Panic and widen the gap between her own stats and the enemy stats even further. Overall, this weapon just turns Charlotte into a big ball of stats, covering up any weaknesses she previously had. Moving on to the third unit of the banner, which is actually the first character I've talked about who I've actually managed to summon so far. In the Bridal Blessings banner, she's a colourless infantry bow unit. It's the perfect bride, Cordelia. Most people rarely ran her original weapon, Cupid's Bow Plus, and instead either used the Brave Bow Plus or the Fire Sweep Bow Plus. So I figured I'd give her the perfect combination of the 2 weapons for her new preferred weapon. I decided to call the new weapon Perfect Marriage, based on how she tries to do everything perfectly, and all the characters have a perfect image of Cordelia. Plus it's like the perfect marriage between the 2 weapons she usually uses. I was originally going to give her a Brave Bow effect for a refine, but after seeing the recent Ninja banner, I decided to give her the same effect as Tailwind Shuriken. So her base effect gives her an accelerated special cooldown, +4 speed, and -4 defense and resistance, while allowing her to attack twice if she initiates combat. Both her defense and resistance are really low, meaning it won't make much difference when they're lowered even more. so the ninja style weapon definitely works a lot better for her, and it even helps increase one of her best stats even further too. And as I said before, this is going to be the perfect combination of the two most commonly used weapons. So her refined effect is going to be the Fire Sweep Bow Plus, meaning that enemies can't counterattack when she initiates combat. Plus, it doesn't have the drawback of Cordelia not being able to counterattack back. Now, not only can Cordelia quad attack her foes, but those enemies can't even counterattack when she does so. Brother Cordelia used to be the queen of bow units, and I think with her new weapon and refined, she's come back to take back her crown with a vengeance. Overall, she's still a speedy and strong archer, and you can probably build her similarly to what her old most common sets were. But now her two strongest sets are combined into one, making her one of the most terrifying units in the game. Now for the final unit of the banner, and the only other unit that I've managed to summon, as well as the first one out of the 4 units that I actually managed to summon too. The final unit in this video I'll be talking about is the Bride of the Plains, Lyn. Lyn's had tons of ults in the game so far, and she's even had one recently with her ninja ult. In fact, there's almost enough Lyn ults to make 2 full teams of Lyn Emblem. She just needs one more ult to accomplish that feat. For her bridal ult, Lyn is an infantry staff unit, and unlike the other units, her original weapon worked a lot differently. Lyn's Candlelight was the original Flash Plus weapon, so after combat it would inflict a status against the foe and enemies within 2 spaces that would make them unable to counterattack for the rest of the turn. For the new weapon, I decided to call it Blazing Candlelight, to reference the original Fire Emblem game that she appeared in, the Blazing Blade, and also keeps her original weapon name since she still keeps the original Candlelight effect. I also gave her the added bonus of granting her +3 speed to Lyn, and has the inbuilt Wrathful Staff effect since she already comes with Dazzling Staff in her base kit. That's just the base weapon though. For her refined, she has Light Breath Plus as the effect. After she attacks and uses her Candlelight Plus effect, she then boosts all the stats of herself and her allies, meaning that not only will her foes not be able to counterattack, but Lyn's allies will be stronger than when they attack too. Even Lyn gets stronger, so if you wanted to, you could dance Lyn and she could land even more powerful attacks once she's boosted up all her stats after her first attack. Overall, while Lyn's probably the weakest out of this banner, I still think her new refine makes her a great unit. And I'm glad that staff refines are finally happening in the game, so we can see a lot more staff units become really great units. So hopefully we'll see some seasonal refines soon too in the future, so that Lyn and the rest of the units on this banner will get refined sometime soon. Since there isn't any more units on this banner, that just about covers it for this weapon refinery theory crafting video. So I hope you enjoyed it, my dudes. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to see more, and check out the other videos I have up on the channel. I also do a bunch of live playthroughs of games like Fire Emblem, Pokemon, and The World Ends With You, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, then please check out my Twitch channel in the description, and the VODs that I upload on YouTube too. Also, if you want to hang out more with the community, there's also the Discord server that's also linked in the description, so definitely go check it out. Well then, until next time, my dudes, bye.